I was, in a sea of S Club, Steps, Boyzone, these huge acts, and those people in those bands didn't really like me because they didn't like my music.
So you felt you weren't accepted from the industry, from the pop scene?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. 100%. Within the, but I wasn't bothered. It was a job, it was a job, I was really lucky, and it opened a lot of doors. It closed a lot of doors as well, because obviously people then go, oh, you're just a pop singer, oh, you just do kids stuff, so but then that's life, isn't it?
Why do you think society still struggles to celebrate aging, especially for women?
For women, it actually, that wound me up.
Hello and welcome back to Ego is Here. Today I'm joined by Anna Kumble, better known as Lolly, the voice behind 90s pop hits like Viva La Radio, Big Boys Don't Cry, and Mickey. Hello, Anna.
Oh, hello, Anna.
It's so nice, Anna. How are you, first of all?
I'm really good. Yeah, I'm a bit tired because had a Pride festival yesterday, and there's a lot of driving involved. But I feel great. I feel really full of love. That's how I explain it.
Yeah, full of love. That's the best thing ever. So let's go back in time now, and tell me, what do you remember about the day Viva La Radio was released? Which I think was a huge thing for you, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago. I think the day it was released, I mean, there's such a lot of run up to it. So to release a record back in the day, you had like a huge 6-week period of promo. And that included all your TV performances, all your magazines, your festivals, and it was just endless. It was like and it was all new. So I was sort of out of my comfort zone, but just sort of learning on the spot. So there was a massive growth period, I guess, for myself, just because I was just sort of just going for it and blagging it. That's what I felt like. I was blagging it when you're in these interviews and you're thrown into these situations with all these different people that have been in the industry for way longer than I have, and you're sort of rabbit in headlights style, but trying to make it like you've done it before, which I hadn't. And I think by the time it was released, it was I think even then I realized it was a business, because it was more about sales and how many numbers you needed to get in the charts and blah blah blah. And it's all about getting on the right programs as well. So you have to get into the top 10 to get on top of the pop. So your midweek, but obviously from your midweek to actual the UK top charts, it could change as well. So you just very much sort of just on sale. So you're just it's like being a salesperson. That's what it is. That's what it felt like. So
you were able to realize it from early on, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think possibly because my background wasn't just music. I trained it as an actress, as a singer, as a dancer. So it was theatre, and I'd done. I've been doing theatre since I was a very little girl, and then sort of went to college. So it was all very gradual. So I was quite aware the whole entertainment industry is a business, and there's lots of different avenues. And but as long as I was performing, I was happy. But this was performing in a totally different way, because I'd sort of created this character, I suppose, as Lolly, who was fun and happy, and it was aimed at the tween market. And so I was on all those kind of programs, getting pied and gunged, and it's all fun and that kind of thing. And it was a role, and then that I created.
But how did that leap into pop music actually happen? How did it start?
So when I was I went to a drama college in London called London Studio Centre, and back in those days you had to go to London. There weren't many other performing arts colleges around. They were all in London, and I'm not from London. So I did my GCSEs, and in that last year I auditioned from finding there was a magazine called The Stage magazine. I think it's still there, and in the papers it shows you all the different colleges, and I'd be sitting there with my parents, just like going, "What about this one? What about that one?" And because they didn't know that I'm not from a background of theatre or performing, and and we didn't have social media there to be able to look at. So it
Yes.
literally physically had to go, or if you knew somebody through the grapevines that had gone to these colleges. So I just auditioned. I just auditioned for lots of different colleges that were in these papers. And I was really lucky, and I got accepted to all the colleges I auditioned for. And London Studio Centre was the one that I chose because it was the most like Fame. I don't even know that
Yeah.
program Fame. It was like that, and I just wanted that energy, and just something felt right about it. And they offered me a scholarship, so I was able to afford to go there. And and I just had a ball. And then while I was at college, I auditioned because what that college I chose that college predominantly as well, that they encouraged you working,
Hmm.
and they put you up for. They had like not an agency, but they promoted you going for jobs, because it was very much like, well, you're going to the industry, so if there's any opportunities, you go for it. That's
That's
what you're
great.
here for. Which nowadays they don't do that. They lock you in.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And I also think that there's a time where I was 16 years old, and I looked probably about 13, so I was quite workable. It was because I didn't have to have a chaperone, the licensing, and this, that, and the other.
Mhm.
So I did a lot of modelling, like child modelling or teen modelling, and that funded me as well. So I didn't have to go and work in a bar. So I mean, I think I worked in a front of house at a theatre selling ice creams, but it's like my parents were like, right, you're not allowed to work in a pub, because obviously I'm
Mm.
16 years old, those kind, well, I wouldn't be allowed to, but I was allowed to work in a theatre, anything to do with that business.
You
That
do
that
what
was the
you
only
like. Yes.
strict things they had, and I had to go home at weekends that first year, and then I sort of found my feet. But I wanted to. I was quite a home bird, and quite. I came from a big family, so I needed people around me, and I had to find. It's quite hard in London to find your own tribe. But I think at London
Mm.
Studio Centre, it was a big college, and there were so many different, vibrant people from all places, all around the world, and I just thrived. I really, really thrived. So when I was at college, I auditioned for a pop group, a girl group,
Mm.
and I was selected, and we did some songs, and it wasn't really for me. I wanted to do theatre, so I left that, but I remained friends with the producers. So then I went off and did some West End musical. I was quite lucky. I was selected quite young. I think I was 17. So I was doing College of a Day, and in the West End of a Night, I was doing Elvis the Musical. And thinking back, I don't know how I did it. I mean, just like I think it's one of those things, you just say yes. You just do it. If I
Good.
thought about it then, I probably would have freaked, but I just did it. And I think then I did Starlight. I did a few, but my last musical that I did before being Lolly was Starlight Express. And on my last day of my contract, um, then I wanted to go into serious straight acting. I wanted to do
Mm.
films. I wanted that's what I was, the auditions I really wanted to do. I wanted to do period dramas. That's I just wanted to have a go at that. But you're I was very much an open book as well. Never say no, and go with your gut instinct as well. I was very brave, and the producers called me up and just said, look, we've got this project and we've got this girl, and she's not quite right, so we're putting her in a different band. And that was Rachel Stevens, who was in they'd put in S Club. So they found
Mhm.
Rachel. She was working in a cafe or in a shoe shop, and she was in a cafe at Sony where they were, and she was visiting her brother having lunch, and they just spotted her because she looked quite good, and they auditioned her, and they did a few songs, but she wasn't quite right for the Lolly project, so they put her in S Club. And they originally thought about the project and had me in mind, but didn't think that I would do it, because I wanted to go and be this serious actress,
Mm.
like totally away from what Lolly is and was. And they called me and just said, look, what do you think? We've got this project. It's this girl, the music's for tweeds, it's pop, it's fun. What do you think? And I was like, yeah, why not? And
Why
so,
not?
so I went into the studio, recorded the demos, and it got signed. And it was just very lucky. It was a good time for pop. And yeah, it was quite easy when now. I mean, I was so sort of blinkered because that was my journey, and everybody's journey is different. It's only when you sort of
Yes.
get old and you start speaking about how people got into, it wasn't just through auditions. It was like, working in a studio and like knocking on doors, and I was just very, very lucky, very lucky.
But you were 21, so do you think that you
Yeah.
were ready for the spotlight?
Yeah, so I was, I started young, and I was very much solid family, and I was, I wasn't stupid. I was quite aware it was a role, so I didn't go down that sort of because people are like, oh, weren't you um interested in the party life and the drugs, the rock
Yeah,
and roll,
yeah.
that kind of thing, and but I was actually in a relationship, and I'm still in that same relationship back then, and that kept. So I did my job and I went, and also
Mm.
Lolly wasn't Anna, so for me to be partying as Lolly was,
Well, separate them.
yeah, because actually
Mm.
Anna. It's so weird even speaking like this, but I kind of used Lolly as an alter ego, where Anna's quite quiet and quite enjoys just sort of small sort of gatherings, like if I had people over, it'd be in my house, safe, just not, I'm not a sort of extrovert where Lolly was the extrovert, and to try and keep that up is impossible. So I kind of just ducked out. So even like yesterday, I'm at a gig and it's a big old party time, I go and do my thing and then I go.
Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't like putting on a mask. It was just another version of you.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah,
it's like, I suppose it's like, your happy side, my serotonin side. It's just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
and then you sort of have your normal, neutral, everyday, doing the dishes,
yeah.
doing the washing, being a mum.
And was there ever a moment where you thought that, wow, this is bigger than I thought?
I look back now and think, yeah, that not then, because I was very much the underdog. I was, in a sea of S Club, Steps, Boyzone, these huge, huge acts, and those people in those bands didn't really like me because they didn't like my music. It's as fickle as that. That's so silly. I mean, I used to have people just ignore me. So I turn up at festivals and they just ignore me
Oh, I can't believe
because
that.
they didn't like my music, but it wasn't for their ears, nor was their music for their ears, but I got it, and it's just like, I had my dance, I had my little team and it was fine. So that's why I sort of went out. So I was never really accepted within that sort of pop circle. Now I am, weirdly, because I think people forget, they go on the nostalgia. Oh,
Mm.
wasn't it fun? Wasn't it brilliant? Oh, that music. And I'm thinking, hang on, you were horrible to me. You ignored me, but now you're talking to me. It's like, oh, okay,
So
still
you
love it.
felt you weren't accepted from the industry, from the pop
Oh,
scene?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Wow.
Within, yeah, within the, but not that I wasn't bothered. It was a job,
Oh,
it was a job,
yeah, yeah.
I was really lucky, and it opened a lot of doors. It closed a lot of doors as well, because then obviously people then go, oh, you're just a pop singer, oh, you just do kids
Mhm.
stuff, so but then that's life, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Of course it is.
So, if you're successful, I don't know, as a, I don't know, playing the flute, then that's all you do. And it's like, actually, I can play the drums and I can sing and I can present. It's like, but no, but you're really successful as that. So I'll just keep booking you as that. So it's kind of, it's a bittersweet thing, but I do not regret 1 second of it. 25 years later, I'm still getting asked to sing those songs and people
Um,
enjoying it still, and it's sort of a pinch me moment because I'm just like, look at the joy. It's just, and
yes, yeah, yeah.
that's all it's about. It literally is not that deep. It's just a bit of entertainment, a bit of escapism, a bit of fun. And if I can bring that to somebody's little life at that moment, and my little life at that moment, then brilliant. I've done my job.
Yeah, but I mean, those songs are connected to emotions,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, they recall their emotions, their childhood memories, and
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a time machine, isn't it? I guess.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's what's really nice about social media. So people have been able to get in contact with me and tell me their stories about what that song meant to them, and they played it on repeat because of this, and they went through this moment in their lives, and they found this out, and it's really it's beautiful to listen to. And I'm just like, oh, I did not know. I did
Yeah.
not have that impact. I didn't even think that it would have that impact at all. It was just, and it sounds really, I suppose, brutal me saying it was a job, because it was a job, a very a glorified job, but it was a job.
Mhm.
I'm quite aware it was a job, but that job had a huge impact. So I can't deny that. I have to open my eyes and go, uh, I, I just think you always feel like you could have done more, or you could have, uh,
Yeah, but don't you always feel like that, no
yeah.
matter what you do?
And I think that's ambition and drive. I think the minute you stop that, then I think it's just like, right, quit.
Yeah, yeah.
You're done now. I
Yeah,
think
yes.
that's the burning. And don't get me wrong, I have been through those, for the last few years, I've sort of not been feeling it, or just not there
Mhm.
really. But that's life, isn't it? As you get older, it's that sort of
Yeah,
roller coaster.
the ups and downs. Anna, how much creative freedom did you have when you were making music as Lolly?
Uh, None whatsoever, to be fair.
None. Mm.
No, no, yeah, no creative. But I'm not a songwriter. Yes, I have like co-written, but I'm that. I think I know where I think I know where my strengths are, and I think that is why I was successful. That's why it worked. I I'm the salesperson, and then
Yes. Yeah.
everybody does their job. The minute it crosses over, I think it's knowing your lane, knowing what you're strongest at, and allowing people that are better than you to go and do their job. Like, I'm not a graphic designer. I'll have a
Yeah.
go, give them an idea, and then give it to somebody that is trained in it
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
is brilliant at it, that can do
But
a much better
in
job than
case
me.
you had an idea, for example, like would they be able to hear it, to listen to it, like
Oh,
in?
yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, oh no, it all sort of was naturally, yeah, I get it, yeah, I get it. But I think with regards to, once you sign up to a huge label, you have no control with which single is going to go out. Like,
Yeah.
literally, that's up to them, and that's where it's sort of like, oh, so what you think is right,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
they kind of listen, but they'll do what they want to do.
Yeah. 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 Because they have
So,
the whole picture, so they know exactly what to
yeah,
do.
and it was very frustrating because we wanted it to look right at the beginning that it looked like a Japanese import. That's what we wanted to, so very manga sort of style,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
very, and they sort of went away from that. That was the initial creative idea. It was like a cartoon character girl,
Mm-hmm.
so and that was not really from it, not from anywhere really, and then we wanted the artwork and the imagery to be sort of like anime slightly, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that only happened, I think, on Sempre Moro, one on the artwork they did like a little cartoon version of, and they were like, that's what it was meant to be. But that's where, when the record label get involved, and
Yeah.
as you must know, and a lot of people know, the more successful something is, the more people get involved,
Mm-hmm.
and the more complications arrive.
Yes. Yes. Always.
Yeah, and then when failure hits, there's one person standing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Only
one.
one. Yeah.
They all just turn their backs and disappear.
Yeah.
But that's anything, isn't it? That's life.
We always had, you knew that it was just a job, so you never
Yeah.
felt trapped.
No, 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 no,
There.
not at all. I think there was a lot of honesty between me and the record label. I worked hard, they worked hard. And the minute I didn't want to do it, I remember speaking to them and just saying, look, it was the last single that I did was Girls Just Want to Have Fun, which I do enjoy performing now. But when we did it, I didn't want that as a single. And the reason I didn't is because I had a lot of young male fans, and I just thought, I'm alienating those lads. It's like, I don't think I need to do this song. There was a lot stronger singles on the album. And I said, but I will sell it for you 100%. I will go out there and, sing my socks off and sell it. And that's when I realized, I've had enough now. No one listens to me, and it
Mhm.
wasn't as successful as the other. I think it charted like 14 or 15, which is still great, but not as good,
Yeah.
but not top 10. And I said to them, look, I don't want to do it anymore. And I'd recouped, made them money, and they understood. and they were very sweet about it, and they even paid for me to have a show reel done to go into going and getting I wanted to go on to being a TV presenter after that, because I really enjoyed the opportunity as Lolly, because I'd always get asked, I suppose because there's just one person, to like co-present
Yeah.
and do MTV Select and host things, and I sort of learned a new skill, and I found it really cool working with Talkback and working with small little teams and doing OBs and things, and I really enjoy that, and thought, right, that's where I want to go. And so they paid for a show reel from all my stuff to get done together, and which they didn't have to do at all. And
No, no, no. It's
and I'm
wonderful.
still, and I still, I say friends, but mutuals now, which is lovely,
Yeah.
which a lot of artists don't. They don't have
Yeah,
that
yeah.
anymore.
The industry is really,
Yeah, it's business.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
business.
it's business. Yeah.
But they knew, I worked hard. They worked hard, and they were quite aware that I wasn't stupid.
Yeah. So the decision to stop performing as Lolly
Mm.
came slowly? Was it like
Um,
decision?
it was just no. It was uh. No, it was quite like, no,
Gradual.
it's time. It's time for me to. And it was very much like, I want to be known as Anna now. I've had enough of Lottie. I wanted to sort of push that on. And that is one of my biggest regrets. I shouldn't have done that, because I had this amazing businesswoman. She made me open my eyes to it, and she just said, "Why did you stop using the name Lolly when this record label had spent millions practically pumping
Yeah.
money into this name, marketing this, that, and the other, and you've just decided?" And I was like, I'd had enough, but I was young, I'd had enough. And
Yeah.
looking back, I should have kind of pushed that aside, but I was like, I'd had enough. It was like, I just wanted a break from it. It was like, but I shouldn't have been so stubborn. Not stubborn, dramatic maybe about it. Kind of like, I was like, I'm Anna, I want to be known as that. But actually,
Yeah.
the name Lolly's a lot more well known than Anna, so I should have just stuck with it. But it's fine. It's like, it's fine.
How did your friends or relatives react to that decision? Because I mean, it
Um,
was
I don't know. I didn't. It was just, I think I was quite headstrong, so it was just like, this is what I'm doing next. So it's like, thinking about it now, I put a lot of people out of work, as in like, I mean, my dancers, because I know they were gutted, because obviously they'd been with me from the start, and working every day, earning a fortune probably, and but then they go and work for somebody else, don't they? It's like the next step.
yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
And how do you personally define success now compared to back then?
Um, I think success back then was being in the top 10, having a
Feel
top,
successful?
and that was when that was being successful. Now I've done that, so I kind of, so now people go, "Oh, you were successful," but back then it was like, "Oh, you're just singing pop songs," just like. So now I'm sitting. People forget that, how they felt about it. It was very different as well. It was different sounding records to what was in the charts, and that's why it was like Marmite. You either liked it or you hated it, but that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a bit different. I liked that.
Yeah.
To stand out from the crowd and not follow the rest. And
Mm,
I have never followed people. Don't get me wrong. I'll see people's style and go, "Oh, that looks nice. That suits them." And, you'll take, "Oh, I like that bangle," or whatever. And you kind of take, but I've always sort of remained
yeah.
true to myself and kind of what feels right to me. And, what works for you, what works for you, and what works for me, works for me.
Yes, yes, yes. What feels that you're aligned with yourself, with your beliefs, with your
Yeah.
desires? I mean,
And
good
also,
to stay who you are.
there's no timing in it either. Like if I wanted to go, right, I mean, yeah, I know I'm 48 now, so there are things that I can't do. But if I wanted to go and be, I don't know, a psychiatrist or this, that, and the other, like, what's stopping me from going and training? And I think from my generation in this country, it was like, you went to school, you go to college, you get a job. It's that sort of, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's the plan. And it's not like that. Like with my children, my daughter, she was home educated, schooling didn't suit her,
Oh,
um and she's been so much more creative. She said that she's found her own passion for having that time. And I think,
mhm.
my parents were just a bit like, "What are you doing?" And then she did do her GCSEs, which is the ones that you do at like 15, 16, that sort of age, and she got like nines, which are like A star star, and it's because she
Mhm.
chose the subjects that she wanted to do, and
Mhm.
she had a passion. It was driven by herself as opposed to sit.
Yes, yes.
You will learn this. Put your hand up if you want to go to the toilet. There was more
Mhm.
autonomy, I guess, in her being. Where my son, he's at school and he's fine. He enjoys that. So he enjoys it. It's just
Yes.
every person is different, and it's okay. You don't have to go to. You don't have to do the norm.
There's not only one path to go,
No, and
right?
what is normal? Like, it's only
No,
what
there is no normal.
generational in your family. It's like what you do, isn't it? But why? Why do you
Mhm.
have to do that? What? Like, just find your own path, and then surely you'll be successful when you find something that you absolutely adore. Whether it's floristry, whether it's art, whether that passion will just sing, and it's undeniable.
Yes,
But you
yes,
have to have
exactly.
that time to find it.
Anna, you were talking about your age, and your response to that article that called you
Mm,
unrecognizable, which was ridiculous.
yeah.
Why do you think society still struggles to celebrate aging, especially for women?
For women, actually, that wound me up, and I wasn't going to post it because we're talking about this article that has just featured. I've just joined a platform called TikTok that everybody knows, and
Yeah.
I joined it because I had this fan, I think, on Instagram having a go at me for not being on it. But I think he was from Indonesia, so it was when you're lost in translation, it was quite a curt text, and I was like, right, well, I will join it then, just like, and then I joined it and just did this. Literally, I did it in one take, this one little introduction, just saying, "Hi, I'm Lolly. Hi to everyone. And if you don't remember me, I explained that literally it was just that. I'm on TikTok and I will, tell you all what it was like, a nostalgia thing." And it just
Yeah.
blew up, and the papers got hold of it. So it was like The Sun and the Mirror, no, the Mail, sorry. And they both ran a very similar story that I was unrecognizable from 25 years ago. And they find some pictures of me back in the day, which weren't that complimentary. Funny angles and a bit sweaty mess
Yeah, yeah.
sort of
Mm.
pictures. And then me now. I mean, it wasn't a horrible article about how I look now. It wasn't, and it's not even about that. But obviously it's a clickbait thing with the title
Yes,
unrecognizable. So it
yes.
makes people look, but it was 25 years ago. Anybody reading it that would know me back then has changed. They're 25 years older. Like, hello. And it's like, I think the pressure of Instagram filters, possibly, with seeing people quite honestly and realistically having procedures done, trying to look younger. And it's just genetics. I'm half Indian. I've got a good skin tone because of that, possibly. So
Yes.
I won't age as fast, or not. I mean, I don't drink alcohol, or not out of that I was an alcoholic at all. I just sort of gave it up 4 or 5 years ago. But it's not made me feel any better or worse. It just, I was like, I don't really like the taste of it, so I just don't bother drinking it. I don't go out partying. But I'm 48 and I'm a parent. No, not many 48-year-old parents do that, and I think the pressure, it's okay for a man to get old and grey, and they're a silver fox. But if it's a
Yeah.
woman getting old and grey, it's like, oh, look at the state of them. But they wouldn't say it. So what they do now is they plant a seed, unrecognizable, then allow the audience to go for them.
Yes, yes,
That's what
yeah.
annoys me. And
Mm.
and luckily nobody has. But regardless of that, I mean, for instance, Nelly Furtado's on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
festival scene, and she's put on a bit of weight. She's
Mhm.
she's 46, I think, and they've got 3 children, and she's still
She looks
awesome, right?
wonderful.
Oh, she's
Yeah,
amazing. She's amazing.
she's amazing.
And what we all can put on weight and lose weight, and what's the obsession? But they can't fat shame anymore because that's illegal, but they can say unrecognizable and plant a seed. So it's still the same
Mm.
thing. They're still trying to shame. They're still getting people to analyze the physique, the aesthetics. But don't get me wrong, you put on makeup to make yourself feel better about yourself,
But
because as you get older, you look a bit like tired in the morning. It's like, oh, you have to wake yourself up.
Yeah.
but it's for yourself, isn't it? If you don't want to look in the mirror and just go, oh gosh, she looks a state, and you do it for yourself. And I've always sort of dressed I don't dress to impress other people. I dress because it feels comfortable, or and I think it just really wound me up, the whole press. It hasn't changed, and it's meant to have changed, and it hasn't. That's what annoys
I
me.
think it has grown bigger just because of the social media and all the.
I Me personally,
No. I mean, so the world, everyone, that is struggling and competing all the time. Like,
it's
you're gonna
hard.
get likes, um, comparing yourself to others all the time. Your life, their lives, how much they're making, how much you think they're making, how you think they look.
Yeah, it's all made up
So,
rubbish.
yeah.
But
What is?
on the other hand, people are talking about me, so it's kind of like, oh, I didn't realize people still remember. It's just like, oh, so it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because then you've got people going, well, at least they're writing about it, and you go, yes, you're right. I said, but you still have to have a blooming thick skin
Yes,
in
yes.
this business, because they literally are analysing you. But I'm putting myself out on this platform to be basically shot, aren't I? But it's not even about that. It's literally to remind people about that time, to kind of go, oh, do you remember this program? And I've got so much much footage. And I will be honest, if people ask me questions, I will tell them, because there isn't anything sordid or nasty. I'll just be honest, and about, because a lot of the time when I'm reading these books that of 90s pop stars that have released them, and they're saying this, and I just think a lot of it is to sell the book, and I don't think that really happened. Not that I'm saying that it didn't, but I just think it's embellished, and it may not be true. It may, just to sell. And I just think, I was there, I didn't see that happen. Just like,
Yes.
what are you on about? It's just like, I just totally missed it. Like, as I said, I literally went in and went out, so I wasn't around it a lot.
Yeah. So one question is, because you're influencing people, you've been a pop icon, you're still doing music, you're awesome. What advice would you give to people who struggle with comparing themselves to others all the time?
I personally think, as I'm getting older, and I've spoken about this a lot, I think people lose their brave.
Mm.
And I have struggled, and it's like a realization this year. It's kind of, I lost my, oh, do you want to do this? And I go, yeah, all right. Where as you get older, you've got responsibilities, you've got, bills to pay, you've got children, you've got them. There's lots of things that come first, and you always put them first, and you get
Yes.
secure in that putting them first, and you sitting back. And I think, and that's becoming, from being selfish when you're not having children to being selfless, and it's finding that balance. And I think, as my children are a little bit older now, my youngest is turning 13 soon, so they don't need me as yes, they will always need me, but not as physically there all the time. They're quite happy to go and sort themselves out. So I've got a bit more time for me, and to kind of find out, go, where am I? Who am I again? Just like, and I think I lost my brave. There was lots of opportunities that have come along within my sort of when they were younger, and I've said no, or not even looked at it, or just gone, oh. But that's because priorities weren't. My priorities were my children, my family, and all what was going on there, and that was right for me.
Yes.
And I'm quite aware that if I leave the family nest, they struggle. As in, like, if a child goes off for a couple of weeks because they're wherever they are, we all struggle because the dynamics have changed, haven't they? And I wanted my children to have a solid, as much as possible, family growing up life. Mum, dad, they're solid, and that's why I wrote Only for Love, because I kind of really at a time to sit back and appreciate it and just have gratitude. And I think as you get older, you see your friends and families, and you just see all the different dynamics of their relationships, and some of them are great, some of them have gone to the seconds and this, that and the other, and you just see the shift. And I just kind of looked at myself and I was like, gosh, I'm so grateful for what I've got. And it's nothing to do with money, nothing at all. It's literally
Yeah.
that sort of circle of trust and love. And I really am holding tight to that and just grateful for it.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, only love remains, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, that does sound like whimsical, but it's not. It's like, why do you do that? You sit and you watch the sunset and you're just like, oh, yes, you can be on your own looking at it, but isn't it nice to be with someone that you cherish and love and share that moment with them? It makes it all
Yes.
just more wonderful to go, oh, look at that. That
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. It's just to share that moment. It's just so gorgeous.
Yeah.
Because you can have all the riches in the world, but you can be the loneliest person.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Anna, what's a misconception people still have about you that you wish you could set straight? Is there any?
I didn't. There's probably loads of stuff. In fact, my best friend, because my daughter, she's 18 and she's a singer going out into the world of pop music and this, that, and the other, and she's been getting trolled because obviously she's straight into social media, isn't she? So
Yeah.
I didn't have that, and she's got this one particular troll, and she's had really real struggles with friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Nasty things have happened to her, and my best mate, she went, Anna, she goes, you didn't feel it or hear it because there was no social media, but people used to speak badly behind your back. She goes, and I'd be there defending them. She goes, but you wouldn't have known.
Mm.
This is straight at them because they've got the power of the phone and social media to go troll, nasty, 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 nasty. And, she just found out like her best mate had been saying that her music's rubbish and this, that, and that's meant to be her best friend.
Oh my
And you're
God.
just like, what?
Devastating.
Yeah, and it's kind of trying to allow them to make their own mistakes, but you can see it, so you have to see. You can see it happening. It's just like, don't trust that one. Be careful.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
You have to let
Yeah.
them. So even though we've been there, done it, got the t-shirt, but I think it's brutal. It's brutal now, whereas back then I
Yeah.
didn't. So I didn't. They probably were like, I do remember bumping into a girl that I went to college with, like performing arts college, and she was like a contemporary dancer, very serious. And she bumped into me in Covent Garden and was like, oh my God, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm having a great time. Oh, it's so embarrassing. Like, it's so embarrassing. I mean, come on. And then just went, oh, well, do you know what? Nice to see you. And kind of went. And I just like, she's probably in this little tiny contemporary group dancing around thinking that she's the be all and end all, and I'm there on TV, just like not doing what she wants to do, but I'm doing what I want to do. And that should be okay. Why everybody's got, and I think I learned then it's like everybody's, I think people thought I was stupid, possibly, for doing
Why would you
pop
think that?
music, because it wasn't that deep back then. I was there.
Pop music is a huge thing. It was in the 90s. It is still now. Like,
No, I understand. I remember I think I was in Starlight Express, and I remember having a moment with a friend of mine and I was like, why have I chosen this career? Like, I'm not really helping anyone. Like, my dad's a doctor. Like, I'm not fixing anyone. I'm not using my brain as much, in that academic, I literally was having a moment. He went, Anna, look at the audience. He went, look how delighted and happy. He goes,
yes.
We're entertaining them. It's you for that 2 hours, you are enlightening them and you're telling them a story and you're taking them on a journey. That's your job, and that is worthy. And I think that it was a real slap of reality to kind of go, that whole entertainment industry, you are worthy. And I suppose it was from from lockdown and all that controversy over, the arts are, changed from being a ballerina to, go and be a baker. It's like, oh yeah, it's like that creative side. I
Yeah.
had a moment where I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. What am I doing? And then actually going, it is important. It's so important. And also in lockdown, what did we have? We had music and TV to entertain us and things like this, podcasts to talk, it's all engaging. It's all entertainment as wrapped up in, isn't it?
Yeah. But being able to give joy to people, it's healing.
It's healing.
Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah. And I think as a youngster, I didn't really think that because I was too in my lane, just doing my job and blah, blah, blah. And as I got now, you see it, you can feel it. And people can message me and say, oh, you got me through this moment, blah, blah, blah. And that is lovely. It's really nice.
Yeah. So, you were talking about your children. How has motherhood reshaped your relationship with ambition and ego?
Oh, that's really interesting.
Because you were talking about priorities,
Mm.
which I totally agree because I have a 9-year-old daughter and she's always my first priority.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think the moment I had my daughter Belle, I was coming up 30 and I was ready. I was totally ready. Before then, I was just living my life, doing what I want to do and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, yeah, it's time. And I loved being a mum. I loved it. I loved that firsts and, that kind of that wonderment and engagement and meeting new people from all sorts of backgrounds and every day was like, every day is learning because you've never been through it, with your first, now she's 18, it's that whole, now being a mother of an adult, but not really. Because I'm an adult, I'm 18, oh, I'm not very well, where's the medicine? It's like you're still, so that now it's sort of, it's constant navigation. And then there was like a situation where literally my mum was telling me, right, you need to do this and speak to the parent of, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Just like, you don't want to be an adult today, want to throw it all in. And I think what's got through me is I've really connected with my childhood friends. My best friend Abby, who I grew up with, we're best friends now. And what's really lovely, she's got twin boys, and my daughter is best friends with one of the twins, and it's just so sweet. It just it's happened that way. So we have this bond that is so strong because we get each other. We've known each other since we were little girls and we've grown up. Yes, we grew apart because I went down to London, she stayed in the hometown, but I came back later on and then we reconnected and it was like even better, and then we kind of go, why did we? And so because we didn't have mobile phones then, or we didn't have, we'd have to write letters, or like it was a lot harder to keep in contact. We didn't have social media just to check in. Or texts even, it was very different then. And we were living our lives. And but now I think having that bond with other parents help, it's like, it takes a village to raise a child. And I do believe that because it's a struggle, isn't it? Because it's things hit you and you're just like, where did that come from? How do I deal with that? I don't know. There's no book. So it's sort of reach out to your friends to kind of go, how do I deal with this? Go, well, this happened to me. And you're like, right, okay. So you don't feel alone. Going through.
And I meet so many friends because of my daughter,
Oh yeah. And people you possibly would never have met in your circle of work. And you just strike up these amazing relationships that you would never have dreamed of meeting, and just like, oh, they're so cool. And they're, it's lovely. It is lovely.
Yeah. Yes. So how does it feel knowing your songs from over 20 years ago are still streaming to millions today?
In 2018, my music was digitally re-released. So up until then, they were already available on CD and tape, vinyl, old school. And because I was signed to Polydor Universal, they own the rights to them, so it's up to them. Whatever you have no say in them. So all of a sudden, the 2 albums got put out onto the digital platforms. not even like mentioning, not even saying, oh, we're going to do it. They just so happened to go there. I think somebody messaged me. And then when you're an artist, you can get say Spotify, you get the artist Spotify app. So you can see the analytics. And through the analytics, you can see where in the world they're listening, how many people, which one they're listening to the most. It's quite interesting stats wise, I guess, because before that you would never really get that information.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So it was really, I think it was like May 2018, and I looked at it, and before then I'd kind of pushed Lolly to the side as such, and I was being mum, and still working, doing like pantomimes and this, that, and the other, and managing. I was doing entertainment managing, and I had a look, and I'd seen one of my songs, I think it was Mickey, had 2 million streams within a couple of weeks, I think it was, and I was just like, huh? People are still listening, when you're just like, but it was such a long time ago. Oh gosh, this. And then I realized, we're just like, there's people still listening, and I'm getting an average of like 40,000 listeners a month on this just one platform. And I was like, people still remember, people still like it. So I was booked, or had been asked to do a few prides and festivals, and I'd already said no. I just wasn't really up for doing them. And then that year I was like, I should do them anyway. I did one, and the love from the audience singing the songs back to me, and I was a bit overwhelmed and blown away, to be honest, because I forgot. I forgot that people remember, and
Of course they remember.
yeah, but you're on your own little lane, aren't you, going? And I just forgot. I literally just forgot. And then that audience was just like, bam. And I came off, and I was just so sort of grateful and thankful. So I, at the time, my daughter was like tween age, not quite a teenager, and she was really struggling with the growing up thing and wanting to grow up too soon. And I wanted to write a song called Stay Young and Beautiful, which literally it's just like, you're beautiful as you are, just chill, just evolve. It's okay. So I wrote Stay Young and Beautiful, and it's like a reggaeton. So, and we were listening to a lot of there's a movie, I think it's called The Chef, and it's got like lots of reggaeton music, and I just love it. We're like doing loads of barbecues, and it's just sort of that kind of feel. And I do it in my set now, and it's quite nice because everybody starts doing like a little shimmy when the music comes on. And then we did, in lockdown, I think we were just like, right, we needed to get creative, and wrote Paper Rain, because a lot of people then, I think I joined Instagram, found people really loved Big Boys Don't Cry, my ballad. And so we did a song quite reminiscent of that sound, but now for me, so we did a song called Paper Rain, and just put it out through me, not through a major label. It's just literally grassroots. And then then what did we do? And then I lost my mojo. And then I think what it was, and then I think my daughter sort of started getting into music, so all the energy was into what she wanted to do and just being mum again. And then literally just this year, I was asked to do a pride in Ireland, in Cork, and off the back of that, I got asked to do the 6 o'clock show, which is like their version of a big daily magazine style show. It's quite a big show, and the producer was like, oh, have you got any new music? And I said, oh, I've got this song called Only for Love that I went into the studio last September actually and recorded it, and then just sort of shelved it because I did it because I had a really good summer of festivals, and I just wrote that song and haven't done it, and then just life got in the way, and they were like, oh, you should get this out, it's really, really good. And I was like, really? And they were like, oh, yeah. And I was like, well, why not? And then here it is.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I really love that song.
Thank you. It's a very different, I love pop, and I also love like Cafe Del Mar, Ibiza chill style music, like me personally. I love that sort of background, sitting by a pool, kind of chilled vibe.
Yeah.
But I do love pop as well. And I was like, how can I do something that I want to do now? Because I can, I can be, in my 40s doing music that I want to do. And and also if I'm asked to do festivals and prize and this, that, and the other. I need a song that's a bit more slower in tempo and a bit more lower in key, so I can survive the set. I'm getting older, and yeah. So Only for Love sort of just felt all so right, just all happened naturally, and then so that went out, and all the radio stations were like, we love it, we love it. And then the funniest one was like this producer come and go, I'm really happy to say that I didn't have to pretend to like it. I really love it. I didn't have to
Yeah,
pretend.
it's very hard.
I was like, okay, like a backhanded compliment. So I think for me, this song is like a knock on the door. And then I think this next song that we've just finished is like bang, open the door. It just feels right. Everything, every sound, it's all come together so organically and naturally and not being difficult. And something feels very right about it. So I can't wait to unleash it. I want to do a really good music video for it too as well. And it's got me excited again, which is really nice.
Yes, yes. Being creative
Yeah.
and excited and doing exactly what you love. Yeah, yeah.
It is.
Do you
really nice.
Do you think chasing fame can ever bring lasting peace?
No.
Or is it more about the journey than the destination?
Fame's the side effect of an illness, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I mean, that sounds a bit dramatic to call it that way, but do you know what I mean? It's your side effects. It's like what comes off it, and fame is just awful, because you lose your privacy. You have to watch what you wear, watch what you say, because you're being analysed. That's why I think back in the day, I was very much like Lolly wore pigtails and bright coloured clothes, and Anna had hair down and black, just clothes, so it was very much like people, I could go incognito quite easily. And I think that I coped with that. Not that I'm saying I was hugely famous at all, but if there was ever a situation where I could be spotted, I tried to, put a cap on. I didn't like it. Well, some people love it. And I'm quite aware that it's the audience.
Hey, Anna, or they not know what it is, what it feels like? Because I usually hear people saying, I would like to be famous, but they're not. But those who are
successful
struggle with it.
Yeah, I think they only struggle with the well, it's different, isn't it? Because of social media, people expect warts and all now, don't they? They expect to see everything. Literally your bed, they expect to see. There's no surprise anymore. Like when I was a kid, it was like you saw your pop star in a magazine and then on TV. And if you were lucky, you went to a concert. It was romantic. And
it was.
So, I absolutely adore Janet Jackson, but I don't really want to meet her because I don't want to. I just want to have my vision of.
Yeah.
And I'm quite aware she's human and she's real, and but I enjoy her concerts, and she puts on a show. That romantic sort of element. I don't need to see everything, and I think because of Instagram. And I suppose Instagram especially, I think, the get ready with me's and all those kind of things. I think people are normalized to seeing everything. So they expect, like even yesterday, I'm at this gig and I can't, literally, I'm off stage, haven't had a chance to even mop my brow. And they're like, pictures, this, that, and I get it. But it's like, just give me one second, just to, just check my makeup's not halfway down my face, because I know that if it is, it'll be like, oh, look at the state of her. Because I'm aware, isn't that sad? Because it's like, be in the moment. Let me just, it was all brilliant. Yeah. And then they just like, and then they're going, come here. You just, and you're like, you're doing it, and then you're just thinking, it's very weird because it's like you're a thing. As opposed, do you know what I mean? A thing. And,
yes.
And it's like a thing in their phone because they see you or whatever. So they think, and I've done it before, you sing, somebody like a film star, and then you see them and you go, oh, I never recognise you, because you're familiar, and you're like, oh my goodness, you're whoever you are. It's like, I get that. But I think it's like an ownership. And I think people think they own you. And they kind of do, because without them, you wouldn't have your success, because you need the audience to listen to your music. But I think that personal space thing is a struggle. And I think that's, you know, I mean, I've not had fame at all, like, you know, the Billie Eilish, or, you know, Millie
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Brown, or this, that, and, you know, I mean, Millie Bobby Brown's a really good one, actually, because I think they really went for her, because she's looking more mature, because obviously she is, from when she was sort of started off doing Stranger Things. She was 11 years old. Now she's in her 20s, but she's still very young, but she is obviously going to change. And it's like, oh, shock horror. And allow her to change her hair color. What's wrong with that? She's trying. But it's like, they can be brutal, but it's the press putting it out there and allowing the trolls, and they've got a voice, you know, and it's just evil, isn't it? And it's whether they think it's funny or not. It's like, you know, your sense of humor is going to be different to mine, but if it doesn't make me laugh, then that's not humor, is it? That's cruel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. There are certain boundaries that you cannot cross.
But I think chasing fame, I think possibly because, I mean, for instance, that Ibiza boy, you know, is literally famous overnight for going viral for his haircut in Ibiza, dancing around, for being me. And yeah, work it. And, you know, he's already got an agent, he's doing this. And it's like, brilliant, fun. But I think it's anyone can be famous now. They've all got an opportunity. So everybody does think they are famous in their own world, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
In their phone, they're famous.
Yes.
But it means nothing.
If you could leave just one truth about yourself for the world to remember, what would it be?
One truth. That she had fun. Yeah, she had fun. She made any situation, like brought light to us. You know, do you know what?
That you enjoyed every.
Yeah, and we were going through. There was a really sad moment in our lives. My partner's mum, she's passed now, but she had dementia, and we were going through a really awful time. It was through COVID. It was just awful. And I remember speaking to my best friend, one of my best friends, and she just went, Anna, she went, always find the funny, find the humour in a situation, and I will live with that till the rest of my life. Because, you know, when there's really tricky and awful situations that are awful, it's like, find the humour, and it just gets you through it. You know, find that funny, and it will just lift you through it. And because there was like one situation where she couldn't wash her hair and I had to do it, and it was an awful situation. And so I made it into, come to my salon. We had a hairdressers, and we did, and it just had a giggle over it. We were having a spa, and it was like, you know, I was acting like this like crazy hairdresser, and blah blah blah. And we found the funny in a really tragic, sad situation, because she couldn't wash her hair anymore, but the salon could, you know. And it's like, yeah, it was awful, but we made it into a funny. Yes, there's certain situations that you can't do that, but I think to cope with trauma, that is that will stay with me, is find the funny, like wherever, just find that.
Yes. To help you
process, yeah. Because you know, we're all going to have to go through some awful situations, and there's and you have to walk through that storm. There's no denying, you have to walk it. There's no way of avoiding. You have to walk it. And I think if you can see light, it will help you not get too dark and spiral.
And it was so nice talking to you.
Oh, it's been lovely, really lovely.
I really enjoyed our conversation. Tell us, when is the next song coming out?
I haven't got a date yet, but it definitely will be this year. Possibly, maybe late September, early October. I think I'll be able to get. I really want to do a good video for this, and I've got a really good idea. But obviously, because I'm doing everything myself, it's like finding the right. You know, I don't have a plethora of people to do things. I'm doing it all myself. It was like laughing. I was like, I'm the A&R man, I'm the writer. Just like
me too. I always do everything, but you have that creative freedom, which is fantastic. Yeah.
It's good. It's good. It's nice, and it's kind of like, and also you as I said, when you lose your brave, you forget your ability. because I don't know, or you forget that you can do it.
Yes. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.
And we're waiting for your next song. And until then, remember, ego is here, you're here, and that's enough.